Rivets versus walnuts. I've got an opinion on when you should use each, and I actually have a winner that I prefer. Let me explain. Let's get through the basics real quick. First, these are rivets, and these are the ones you should not use on your kayak. Instead, look for rivets that are made for boat or wet applications like this one. And you can see that it, well, maybe you can't, but it's got a little bit of a gasket on there that's going to seal out any water. And other ones come with other gaskets that you would put on. A well nut is in two pieces. It's got a rubber piece right here, and then you use a bolt, and that'll tighten it down, and I'll show you that here in a minute. So the first thing to know about rivets is that you need to buy a tool to be able to use them. Whereas with a well nut, all you need is a drill to make a hole. So there's the first indication of why I prefer well nuts. The second thing about rivets is that there are many places where these can't be used, specifically on utility tracks that don't have enough of a gap to get in, or on paddle clips where you can't get the rivet in. But where they are good is on something like a pad eye, where you can get the riveter right up next to the hole. On the other hand, well nuts can go anywhere. They can go into all these places. The downside of a well nut is the size of the hole. Here's the typical hole for a well nut. Here's the typical hole for a rivet. Now, given that a rivet is permanent, once you drill this hole, you're never going to be able to take the rivet out, so that's fine. But well nuts are removable. So you could actually drill this hole, put the well nut in, decide you didn't like there and want to take it out, and now you're faced with repairing this hole. So let's do a quick overview of how rivets and well nuts work. So if I were going to put this pad eye into this HDPE, I'd run the rivet through the top of the pad eye and then through the hole. I don't want to lose my pad eye. Then, depending on your rivet gun, you've got different sizes here that take different size rivets, and you find the one that fits the rod attached to the rivet. And basically you just crank on the riveter until it comes loose. There we go. So the rivet gun or riveter actually takes the top part of the rivet off. And as we said before, there is no way that's coming out. One comment on using the rivet gun is you need to practice a couple times before you go for record. So get a piece of HDPE or some wood or something like that and run a couple rivets through there so you get the feel of how the tool works. And it's a lot easier to do if you're not sitting down and you're standing up and have some leverage. Now on a well nut, you've got to make a decision just like you did on the riveter of the size of the well nut you use, because a well nut has a small nut built into the bottom, and when you run the bolt through there, it's going to compress that nut and squish the rubber material up against the bottom of your boat. So right here I've got one that's not sized correctly. And you can see that it doesn't spread out very much, and that's going to be a bad connection, versus one that is sized correctly. You can see I've got a much better seal around here. Now the good news is that well nuts are removable. You can unscrew the bolt and then you can pop it right out. So that's a plus for well nuts. And well nuts, as you can imagine, can easily be used anywhere where you can't get a riveter in. So there's the basic difference between well nuts and rivets. And I guess the final point is well nuts are going to be more expensive than a box full of rivets. You can get 20 of these for about $8 here in 2020, and these were much more expensive. I forget what I paid for them, but I think it was over $1 a piece. So what do you guys think? Do you guys have a preference on when you use rivets versus well nuts? If so, throw it in the comments so we can all take advantage of the collective intelligence. Thank you.